Why let me laugh and drink and say there was something, but you say there was nothing, but you say it with a smile.
Whoa. That was different. We have 3 viewers. We have 3 viewers right off the bat. That's the fastest we've ever had 3 viewers.
3 viewers. Welcome to the Fifth Quarter Fantasy Cast. I'm your host, Coach V, and I'm here with my co-host, who is iced out beyond belief, Dr. Dry. Multiple layers of ice.
Let's get this money.
That's real money. Oh my God.
It's prop money. It's about $9,900 of prop money, $17 on Amazon.
$17 for that much fake money. Wow.
You never know when you're going to need it. If someone's like, I'm going to rob you, there you have it.
Fake money well spent. So welcome in. We're live tonight. So thanks for joining us. We have, we have a fun show as always. Joseph Bennett is here. Man,
stayed awake.
This is great. How did he make it? He's awake. He's alive. He's ready. He's feeling good. Goodness gracious. So, how was your week in fantasy football?
I won in all of my season-long leagues, and I lost in my dynasty leagues. Won to Joe Bennett, who in let's see, in 2 years I can count on one hand the amount of times that I've lost. So he's one of them now. Very good team. I made it very interesting. He had Justin Fields going last night. I was down by $1 million, and I had all 3 of my individual defensive guys, and Danielle Hunter, spelled Danielle, but he's male. And then I had T.J. Edwards, toe job as I like to call him. You know, he was racking up tackles, and then that Bynum guy in Minnesota's secondary. But they all did such a great job, and Justin Fields was starting to S the B a little bit. And anyway, we almost pulled it off. We got within 1 point and within a couple fingertips away, but Justin Fields did Justin Fields things at the very end, saved it all to break my heart. And anyway, he got the big victory there. And then I lost to Superfan Matt's brother Brett in a big matchup. He just went off. You saw it. Me and you we have a very big matchup this week.
Yeah.
Both 5 and 7, really fighting for that 6th spot. But other than that, I won some season-long stuff. And anyway, so we got that going for us. And but yeah, it's been a good week. Just still battling a cold. I think I'll be sick for the next couple months since it's now winter, and I'll also have seasonal depression and all that. And man, we got 4 people in the chat. We got people talking everywhere. Coach V, how was your week? First of all,
pretty good week. I won in like 3 out of 4 leagues and top scorer in a few of those, and so. I have a lot of Kyron Williams across the league, and so I played it safe. I started them in half my shares and played them in the other half of my shares, and now I'm like, cool, I got this guy that I can start, So that was nice to see him go off, coming off the injured reserve and just playing great. And so yeah, it's going to be fun. This is just like when it gets really fun, where you got these matchups that matter for seeding or whether you get in or not. And this is like the time of year where like there's a lot of fun trash talk going on. You're looking ahead, like you're peeking ahead to week 14, week 15. You're like, okay, if I beat this guy and I get this many points. So I have a lot of like interest here at the end. So I'm not blowing out any leagues. And I imagine a lot of people out there in the same position where you're fighting for seeding or playoff spot. And so, yeah, I like this time of year in fantasy football almost more than like the playoffs itself because there's a lot of people in contention. So it's exciting.
This is where the ballers ball, and we know one thing: if you have this guy, you're still in it.
Can I get a Dale? Yeah, brother.
Dale, yeah. Man, love Tank Dell. We are a huge Tank Dell show. So I guess before we get into our awards, so here for any newcomers. We do have the Sleep Number S the B Award, the 11th McNugget Award, the Hillshire Farm Disappointment List, which
Yes.
there's more words to that. But first, we got a couple of new people coming in.
Yeah.
McCardle, cousin Alex,
Hey.
great musician. Check out his music if you haven't already. He is on Apple Music. I know that. He's on some others. Feel free to drop that in the comment section. We'll shout it out
Ooh,
later. But
ooh.
our favorite cousin in the whole family,
Yeah.
McCardle, welcome. Face blue, wide eyes. We don't know what that means, but I think you meant. I think you put it in an emoji, and that's how it came in. Uh, Joe's alive. What the fuck by Matt Kogar. And then Joe's feeling wild tonight, so we got Joey B in the chat. Not Joe Burrow, better
Yeah.
Joe Bennett, and he's not injured. He's not a fantasy champion though, but when will it come? Possibly this year.
Yeah.
We got a stranger in the chat, Derbs.
We
He's a
got
new friend, so welcome to the show, Derbs. And he has posed a real question here: Christian Kirk or Puka Nakua this week? And we love our Pikachu. We'll
Yeah.
say that first and foremost. But
Yeah.
this might be a little foreshadowing because I know we're going to talk about Puka here in a few minutes. But given this situation, and I'm not even a Christian Kirk guy, and I've been riding Puka's whatever the whole time, and anyway, I'm a little soured on Puka. I'll be honest. He is the wide receiver 9 on the year in a PPR here in America, but uh, something I don't know, just a feeling about Christian Kirk. I haven't looked at. I know he's got the Monday night matchup against Cincy,
Yeah.
and you know Jaguar is starting to turn that corner. So I would go Christian Kirk over Puka Nakua, and I never do that. I never pick anyone over our dear sweet Puka, but he's not been terrific. So we'll do the Christian thing here and go with Kirk.
Yeah. Yeah. And look and see if Miles Garrett's going to play against LA. I think that'll be a factor. If Miles Garrett is in the game, then your Puka shares are going to take a hit because he's going to be tormenting Matt Stafford. But if
Yeah, you
Garrett's
could
in,
be Puka. You could be puking your pants there.
yeah, I would say Kirk's probably the safer play. So yeah, but check and see what Miles Garrett is. Miles Garrett going to play through the shoulder thing or not, and that might really give you a better idea how you feel about the Browns. Because without Miles Garrett, I don't know if that pass rush gets home, and Stafford might be able to throw the ball around a little bit more.
Yeah. Thanks for tuning in, Big Dick Derbs. Welcome to the family.
Derbs.
Derbs. All right. So next, we're gonna get into our awards. We give a few silly awards out here on this show. Basically, this is more of a reaction show, but we will look forward into week 13 this week because it's popping. We have 4 people here, so it's gonna be a good time. We usually decide to do a double episode when it's like that. So first, we have the Hillshire Farms Holiday Sausage, Cheese, and Cracker Gift Basket of Disappointment. I always feel like I'm going to throw the word egg in there, but I know that doesn't come in that basket. So, but anytime the holidays are around, and 'tis the season for this award too.
Yeah.
So we're truly in it now. You kind of mentioned this last week whenever we were discussing Thanksgiving and all that. So you're going to be in some sort of Secret Santa where you get a lazy gift giver and they put it off till the last minute. They see that shitty Hillshire Farms holiday sausage, cheese, and cracker gift basket over in the line, sort of that gotcha aisle over at TJ Maxx or Kohl's. You didn't plan on getting it, but it's like, oh, I gotta get a gift for Coach V. I don't know what to get him. This will be perfect. And you're probably not going to eat it. It'll probably sit under your bed for a year, and then who knows? You might give it a try, but you're not excited about it. It's a real poverty meal whenever you do get to it. But so these are the players that we're not mad. We're just disappointed. We're not dropping these people, but that level of concern is up. So who you got on your Hillshire list, sir?
So by no fault of his own, Devin Singletary. Damian Pierce has really screwed this up, and we're Damian Pierce guys. But
he's nothing more than a common butt cheese boy.
How quickly we will turn on someone. And so when you look at Houston, they were leading the league in yards yards before first contact. meaning the offensive line was allowing running backs to get hit behind the line and dragging them down. And you're like, oh, so it's not the running back's fault, it's the offensive line's fault. Then you wait and see Devin Singletary is able to have these massive games with the same offensive line. Maybe it isn't the offensive line. Maybe it's the running back's fault. So, anyways, he has 2 great games. Dameon Pierce comes back. They split the workload, and he has an average game. And so I'm hoping they see the error in their ways and get back to giving Singletary and let Pierce just become like a breather guy, like a 6 to 8 carry kind of guy, and let Devin Singletary get 12, 15, 18 carries a game. But for now,
get his nut.
Yeah, for now it's disappointing. But I thought, that guy, he like proved that he deserved like the carries, and then Pierce comes and like they split the backfield. So that was disappointing for me. What about you?
Yeah.
Who were you disappointed in?
Well, I mean, as you can see, we loved Dameon Pierce. He was one of God's sons, and he was on the Fifth Quarter Fantasy Cast preseason God Squad up here with some other guys who are doing great or not really. So a lot of injured guys on here. It's a hit and miss thing. You got to own up to your mistakes, and Dameon Pierce, he's just not been great. But we like Devin Singletary. We've kind of like, I don't know, we were in love with Dameon Pierce, dumped his ass, and now we're in love with Devin Singletary. He was one of our McDonald's 11th McNugget Award winners the other week. So I got 3 people on the Hillshire list. Brees Hall. And a lot of sometimes it's not someone's fault to be on this list, but is this guy even startable? Like, I know he got like a bunch of bullshit catches that kind of saved his day. I think it was like 7 for 24 or something, but I mean, it's clearly the situation. He's a very talented running back, but I know I'm pretty concerned with throwing him out there, especially, if you're fighting for playoffs and you need those wins right now, or you're trying to secure that 1 seed. Brees Hall definitely concerned. Our dear sweet Puka Nakua. And the Rams, I don't get it. I don't know what's happening the last few weeks. They looked like one of the more explosive offenses in the league. And his last 4 of 6 contests, he's been under 8 points. And it doesn't feel like it because he's still the wide receiver 9. And so I don't know if we're still chasing those points from the beginning of the year. I think even whenever he was getting that volume, you'd still think someone more athletic would do more with this volume, right? So, I don't know if he's a flash in the pan. Obviously, like, you're going to keep rolling with him, but if I think he goes into that, you're no longer automatically starting him. If you have somebody else like a Calvin Ridley, depending on situation, or depending on what's his name, Shitty Zay Jones, if he's playing, then you're going to play Calvin Ridley, as you pointed out last week. So, anyway, Puka Nakua is now a situational start. And, we had, Big Dick Derbs asking about Christian Kirk or Puka Nakua. I'm going Christian Kirk all day on that. Austin Eckler, he's on my Hillshire list. He has the last, and I'm not sure how many weeks in a row it's been, but it feels like more often than not, he has only reached half of his projection or 1/3 of his projection. And that's a problem for a guy that you drafted somewhere in the first round, in the first half of the first round. You can't have that. You need ballers in that, that you're not going to worry about. So Eckler's kind of been a disappointment. We know he's got those 30-point games in there somewhere. Like, he does look something's a little off this year. They're just not using him the same. There's a few things going on there, but those are my Hillshire boys. And
have you noticed his fumbling? I mean, he has fumbled, I think, every game since he's been back, at least once. And I think he may have had a 2 fumble game. Like, I don't know. Like, he's
feel better, Austin Eckler. So get well soon, because everybody needs it. And I know he cares about fantasy, which I think is awesome.
Yeah.
But he just, I don't know, he carried us all to a championship last year, and then I guess his back started hurting. But, he is what, 27, 28 now, which is that's the new 30. So,
Yeah.
so I mean, we might be seeing the beginning of the end with Austin Eckler. Unfortunately, I never want to write him off, but
Yeah.
that's what it's kind of looking like.
Yeah.
Superfan Matt, our boy Matt Kogar, with big question here: play Rasheed Rice against Green Bay or Curtis Samuel against Miami? What you think?
Well, I think that's my Rasheed Rice trade that he's asking about. So.
You gonna help him or no?
No, I'm going to help him. I think it depends on your situation. So, in my opinion, I feel like Curtis Samuel has the bigger ceiling here, but Rasheed Rice has the higher floor. So, if you're in a matchup where you need something explosive to happen, then I would go with Curtis Samuel. If you're in a matchup where you're feeling pretty confident, you're going to, like, y'all match up pretty well, and this is going to be close, or you're going to get the win, then play Rasheed Rice. I feel like Rasheed's the safer play, but Samuel could have a big game because I think like Miami and Washington are just going to go back and forth. Like we've seen when Sam Howell was in like a shootout situation, yeah, he just shoots it out, and like someone or multiple receivers are going to benefit from that. So I feel like Curtis Samuel could really go off. So if you need that, go with Samuel. What do you think?
I get it. Yeah, I'm a Rasheed Rice guy here, just because Curtis Samuel, he had that what 9 for 100 on Thanksgiving, and I know I went against him, and I was like, why is Curtis Samuel going off? And I saw a stat during the game that he averages 35 yards per game
Yeah.
this year. So a lot of those are probably like his one catch for 4 yards games. So like you have that extremely high ceiling. And you're right, he has that very low floor that goes with that, which is scary. But yeah, I guess it really does depend on your matchup. That's a great way to look at it. I like what Rasheed Rice has been doing the last few weeks. I think he's starting to come on. He's starting to come on the competition, and so so Rasheed Rice, he's someone that I think I would favor in this matchup. Good luck.
Okay, so next. So our sleep number shit the bed award, aka the poop the bed award. This is for the guy that you're really upset with. You're not happy about any of this right now, and so much so that you want them off your squad. And so we have 4 guys here who have soiled the sheets. And I just bought those sheets on Amazon. Black Friday, 900 thread count. And now they're just covered in brown. And these are crispy white sheets. I mean, I don't think you can wash this. I think these are just burn them, get rid of them, much like these players. So, Dr. Dry, who is the Bet Award winner?
Well, I put Geno Smith on there. It's his second time on here, so doing a number 2 twice on here, and we've seen that before with our friends Calvin Ridley, and who else has been on here twice? Someone else. Oh, Josh Kelly's 2 weeks in a row. Daniel Jones is on here twice. Yeah. He's no longer with us.
He's no longer with us.
So, anyway, I got Geno on there. He kind of ruined everything for Zach Charbonnet. I started him in a spot, and I know it was a bad matchup against the 49ers, but Sharps, I don't know, I've been waiting to use him all year, and I feel like this was his first real opportunity, and he just should have gotten more of those bullshit Brees Hall check downs. I was really hoping he'd get something like that, but Geno Smith wouldn't even look his way and just enjoyed getting sacked all night. So Geno Smith, nobody else even thought about producing. So Geno Smith, you are on there for good, and now we're really dropping you. So Adam Thielen, he's on here because he couldn't produce against the shittiest pass defense in the league, our beloved Tennessee Titans. He had 1 catch for, I think, less than 10 yards or something. And you just can't do that against the Titans. Sort of I'll put a running back on here if we're waiting on that. Tony Pollard was very much at risk. but he went against the Panthers. Panthers are terrible against the run. Every running back goes off against the Panthers. Doctor's orders: start your running backs against the Panthers. So anyway, same thing against the Titans. Start those wide receivers against the Titans. Anyway, and he didn't produce in that spot, smash spot for him, and we just have a feeling that it's time to drop him. And then we got Scary Terry. If anything's been scary, it's his lack of production. Very up and down. And this is why the Washington Commanders almost got canceled. The Washington Commanders just piss me off. They'll do Sam Howell. He can get into those gunslinging back and forth matchups like we could see with Miami this week. And then sometimes whenever he was against Dallas, I know better defense and everything, but they'll just put up a dud, and then you don't know who to trust. Curtis Samuel's 35 points per game or his 9 for 100 that he recently had. So it's really hard to pick what receiver to play when. And I know we really like Jahan Dotson here on this channel, and anyway, we loved him preseason, and now he's kind of a spot start if you have injuries or something, and hope it's one of those good weeks. But yeah, those are the guys I have on here. And then you have a very big name on here. So we're going to talk about Cooper, the Athletic Cup.
Yeah. So 2 girls, 1 Cooper Cup is on this list. And so, yeah, I mean, the thing is you drafted them high, you love them. It's hard not to start those guys that you drafted high. We're talking about Eckler. But, he just hasn't been right. Even, he came back. He had 2 great games. And then he had a okay game. And then of the last 6 weeks, Cooper Kupp has not scored more than 6.8 points in a 1-point PPR league. So, take the name off of it. Would you start a player who has produced less than 7 points the past 6 weeks in a row? You wouldn't start that player, but because you drafted him high and it's Cooper Kupp, 2 girls, 1 Cooper Kupp, that's his nickname for sure. That's his new nickname.
I was going to say Cooper Empty Cup, but I like that one better.
Tell Tony Romo that nickname because he'll probably use it on the air. That guy, no filter these days. But yeah. So yeah, I mean, I think he's pooped the bed for sure. It's fantasy playoff time in a week or two, depending on your league. Is not time to be holding on to dreams of the past anymore. You got to let guys go. And you know what? If you're afraid Cooper Kupp is gonna, drop them and play for someone else and beat you, that's fine. But just relegate them to your bench and let them sit there because I don't think there's any improvement on the way. They have a kind of a tough matchup this weekend, so I don't see any improvement happening anytime soon.
Someone had to say it. So anyway, yeah, I mean, I think if you don't have him or maybe you don't even think that because you see the 18, 19, 20 point projection every week. And it's oh, can't sit this guy. But you can because the reality of it is he is scoring less than half of his projection. So he's a butt cheese boy whenever it comes down to it if you want to get real nasty with it. But if you want to bring your spirits up, we've got this award, the Week 12 McDonald's 11th McNugget Award. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba, McDonald's. So, on here, these are the players that these are your good surprises. So, Kyron Williams can't go on here because we've seen what he can do. He's a league winner. He's someone he's an RB2 after missing 4 games. He's not the RB2, but he's a top 24 running back after missing 4 games. That's insane. If he were to just play those 4 games, he'd be in that top 5 overall conversation. So anyway, so these are the real surprises here. So we have and there are some big names on here, but like Arthur Smith. And anyway, he's but he's a no. He's never going to be on this list. We hate Arthur Smith over here. So we did a whole episode dedicated to just hating Arthur Smith. And anyway, so these are those. It's like whenever you go to McDonald's, you order that nice 10 piece, and you know you're going to count your nuggets before you eat them. And you see that 11th nug in there. So these are what these guys represent. We got a nice 14 piece for you here tonight. We got Bijan Robinson. Look at that spaghetti head, just killing it. He and the main thing, like, and he's very talented. Probably should never be on this list, but because of that cheese holder below him, Arthur Smith, he is on this list. He's overcoming all the odds. Arthur Smith is his fucking coach. Yeah. So, despite all that's against him there, having a terrible coach, he gets to be on this list because he had a heck of an outing. I don't even know what the stats were. I just know he had a really good outing. So, so Bijan, welcome to the 11th McNug Award. And then we got Fat Calvin down there. He didn't do shit in the first half. He had like a nice zero burger. And then he ended the game with 21 points. I think he got all in the third quarter. And yeah, I mean, you know, he's got Zay Jones back, so Zay Jones should probably be on here indirectly. Yeah. Sort of like how Garrett Wilson, big disappointment, but it's because Aaron Rodgers is injured and he has whoever throwing him the ball. Kind of an opposite situation where, like, okay, this guy's available. This frees up Calvin Ridley. So if Zay Jones is out, I'm probably sitting Calvin Ridley. So we got Fat Calvin on there, just having a couple good weeks in a row. I believe his last 2 weeks he's had 31 points and 21 points. Yeah. You go to war with that every week. And then you have a gentleman on here who's seen something.
Yeah. Yeah, so I have my favorite guy in the world, who I've been personally trying to expose myself to Pat Freiermuth since this summer. Like, y'all witnessed it. I was out here on the internet, and I was really trying to just, increase my exposure to Pat Freiermuth. And, Slippy 106. Slippy 106 opened up his trench coat first and exposed himself to
Zippy. Yeah, we met Zippy that night.
Yeah, Zippy got a hold of Pat that night, and I was left out in the cold, just sitting there dangling in the cold and nothing to show for it. So but thankfully I'm getting an opportunity right now to kind of pitch Pat on me and maybe coming back and letting me expose myself to him if he's available for that. But so, yeah, Pat Freiermuth goes off for his first 100-yard game. It's the Steelers with their new OC, the new plan. And so nothing beats an 11th McNugget, Joe, and nothing beats exposing yourself to lots of Pat Freiermuth. That's what you want to do. So, I don't know. It was cool. Just honestly, there was probably a more deserving McNug, but I just wanted to talk about exposing myself to Pat Freiermuth and, what could have been. What could have been, Pat, if we had had that time together? And we don't. I haven't been able to expose myself at all to Pat Freiermuth. So that's just upsetting.
Yeah, and, a place where Calvin Ridley likes to go if you'd like to expose yourself to a Pat Freiermuth or a Bijan Robinson. Why don't you get yourself on over to Underdog Fantasy? Use code 5th Quarter Fantasy, and Underdog will match your deposit up to $100. That is your first deposit on Underdog. They'll match it. You can put in 25, they'll make it 50. You can put in 100, make it 200. Lose it all. Have $2 like we do on our 5th Quarter Fantasy cast. Betting all of our money on here, exposing ourselves to the Pat Freiermuth of the world. Get your ass on over to Underdog right now.
That's doctor's orders.
Doctor's orders, and we will put that on there.
Right. So that's our weekly awards, and so before
Rashad White's still peeping in over there.
Yeah.
So he, and it looks like he's saying McDonald's. Yeah, don't forget about me. He actually rushed for 100 yards, which really isn't his game. Like he's usually a PPR man, and he did both for you this week. So keep it up, Rashad White. We love you.
So Superfan Matt, as a Steelers fan, How do we think the Steelers are moving forward and their confidence? I don't. I feel like the Steelers are feeling pretty good about themselves. They're one of those teams that it's like you're not even supposed to be here. You don't go here, but like they're there, and I think anytime you get that bad blood out of the stadium, out of the locker room, like you've seen it with Las Vegas, and so I would very much say that the Steelers got rid of some bad blood with Matt Canada. The players are in a happier, better place. So yeah, I mean, the Steelers could definitely contend for the playoffs. It's weird to say that considering no one had the Steelers on their playoff radar this year. But yeah, I mean, the Bengals are out of the way. The Bills are sucking ass. So why not the Steelers in the playoffs this year? Whatever, Kenny Pickett, playoff starter. Weird.
Yeah, Kenny Pickett still sucks, but they did get that Canadian out of there, so that's good. And then Kenny Pickett's exposing himself over to Pat Freiermuth, which is crazy. Or Pat Freiermuth is exposing himself to Kenny Pickett, getting in his line of vision like that.
Yeah.
So that's always good. I do think they make the playoffs, and it feels very weird to say just because Pickett's been ass, but it's a new dawn, it's a new day over there, and I did not.
See this. This is
We don't watch the Steelers, but I love me some Red Zone. So, but good job for him, I guess. Yeah, I mean, Deontay Johnson. I don't know. He's Deontay Johnson. No comment. I don't know.
So before we do our Week 13 preview, we have a new sponsor. It's just left and right, man. I mean, sometimes you just do good things and good things happen. We're just blessed like that, and we just put out a podcast, and then every single business we know wants to advertise with us. So you don't make that. You don't make that kind of money unless it's advertising money. So let's get our next sponsor up here. So we have our newest sponsor. You know what? I'll just let them take it away. One of them is a familiar voice. One of them's a new voice. Here you go.
Hey, Robert. Yeah, Marcus? You ever heard of Little Dutch Maid? Little Dutch Maid? What the hell is that? You see, Robert, Little Dutch Maid is crackers made by white girls. Crackers made by white girls? Sign me up. That's right. Next time you find yourself at Publix, head on down the aisle and pick your old crack ass up a box of Little Dutch Maid.
All right. There you go. Thanks, Robert.
Exclusively at Publix.
Only at Publix. So thanks, Robert. We know Robert from the
Duke's Mayonnaise, Squeezy Pouch
commercials. And so him and Marcus got together and did a little ad for Little Dutch Maid. So and for those folks, it's not Little Dutch Maid, it's Lil, like LIL apostrophe Dutch Maid. So
she looks like she's gonna drop a crazy mixtape, just bars on bars and bars.
So next time you're at Publix, and you're wanting some salty snack to fulfill that craving, Little Dutch Maid. They make a lot of stuff. Turns out, I thought they only made crackers, but they make cookies. They make pie. Ooh. They make little Debbie snack cake things. So Little Dutch Maid, versatile company. But I think their bread and butter is those saltine crackers. So there you go. Coach's yeah, F Ritz. Get yourself a Little Dutch Maid. All right.
Go get some Little Dutch Maid now. Doctor's orders.
Crunch, crunch, crunch.
Crunch, crunch, crunch.
Oh, look. Check it out. Look, we're having an influence. So Joe B almost bought some Duke's Mayo today because of the commercial last week. And that's why you advertise on this show. All right?
Yeah.
Just changing lives one after the other. I get it. Hey, you know what? And Duke's is a Southern brand. So Dukes is infiltrating the northern part of the United States. That's huge. That's
Over at the Giant Eagle, probably.
man, that's wild. Dukes has got twins. All right, so don't forget.
I choose Dukes. Mayonnaise for men.
So we got our week 13 preview. We have 3, 6, 9, 10 points to talk about. 6 teams on bye this week. You got the late
Armageddon.
Armageddon. I swear someday they got to get rid of the late bye week. It's really messing with people. There's people who are in playoff hunt, and we got freaking, we got Buffalo, we got Baltimore. So those are 2 high flying quarterbacks on bye this week. The Pasternaut, who didn't look so great last night, he's on bye this week, and Las Vegas.
He looked like the astronaut with 2 S's.
First matchup is Seattle at Dallas. Dallas at home is really hard to deal with. Dallas away with that defense is really hard to deal with. Seattle has not looked great. Do you see any hope for any Seattle players? We've already shut down Geno Smith. Are you shutting down the receiving corps for Seattle as well?
Hell yeah, I'm not starting anybody because Geno has to be the one to get them the ball.
Yeah.
And same with Sharbs. I mean, I don't know. I was so excited about him, and anyway, not anymore. It's like they're also so like Zach Charbonnet got his start, and if you look at his schedule, it's like San Fran, Dallas. I think he has San Fran again.
Yeah.
And then he's got like the Titans who shut down the run. He's got it's a terrible. I mean, also like I think Kenneth Walker's back too.
Yeah.
Maybe that changes some things, but yeah, I'm probably if I have other options, I'm probably starting those against my Seattle players instead.
Also, what do you think about Rico Dowdle as a garbage time only start? Have you ever started someone purely for garbage time?
I mean, well, this would be the week to do it. I mean, I did do that one year.
Yeah.
It was a year that the Titans were really bad and the Packers were really good. And I forget who it was like before Aaron Jones. I forget who it was like a random running. It was like their second running back. Yeah. And I was like, they're going to be up by so much. They're going to need to use this guy. Yeah. 2 touchdowns, ended up like winning in the semifinals or something and going to the championship. Yeah. But it was just, and I think I benched a stud too, this was earlier in my fantasy career where I just wouldn't always start my studs.
Yeah.
And really good move. Like every now and again, like you come across like, man, that was a balls call. I'm glad I did that. And that was one of them because I think I did win the championship that year. But yeah, I mean, I could see, I haven't even thought of that. That's a good idea for someone who doesn't have a running back.
Yeah.
Pick up Rico Dowdle, see what he does here. He might get into the end zone a time or two, which if you really don't have a running back, then worth a shot.
Yeah. Dallas could get out ahead, and Rico could be the man. So he's out there on a lot of waiver wires. If you're really struggling this week, that could be an desperation play. Indy at Tennessee. So we saw Derrick Henry get back online. One thing is like when the Titans are up, Derrick Henry's up. That's just like it's like sometimes like a team goes off, but one player doesn't go off. If the Titans win a game, that's because Derrick Henry had a game. Like so, I don't know how the Titans are going to fare against Indy this week, but I like seeing Derrick Henry have a good week. I don't know how he does historically against Indy, but I could see the Titans hanging in there and Henry having a game. What do you think?
I think so. A situation to monitor in that same game. I think Jonathan Taylor's going to miss time. I don't think his hand's right or whatever's hurt. And it might be Zach Moss season again. And we saw what he could do. I mean, it is the Titans, though, so that kind of sucks. But But I mean, I don't know. I think yeah, Derrick Henry does good. I heard it. I think it was NFL Network or something sometime this week. They were like, Derrick Henry shows up against AFC South opponents. Even though he's 56 years old, he still shows up in those matchups. He's still got it. He may have lost a step or something, but it was a very small step if he did.
Yeah.
Um, also, he's got an absolute shit O line, and they're always losing. So, and they love field goals,
Yeah.
and just a lot against it. Are the Titans at home?
Yeah. Titans at home.
So, fun fact: Titans have not lost at home yet this year.
Oh, really?
And if they are, which seems unlikely, I think that stat's correct though. I haven't looked at anything, but am I wrong or
I don't know. I have
is?
no
Oh,
idea.
okay. Yeah, well, I heard that somewhere. I don't know if I dreamed it or what, but I think the Titans haven't lost at home somehow, and maybe they've only had 4 home games, or they haven't lost at home in a while. I don't know, but
Yeah.
basically, they and if they're winning at home, and they're winning because of Derrick Henry, expect Derrick Henry to have a good game.
Right. So yeah, something to look out for there. LA Chargers at New England. Um, I mean, Herbert is looking weird these days. Eckler's looking weird these days. This should be a good matchup.
I
Do
think
you?
it's a bounce back.
Okay, so that's really the question: is do you think bounce back here against New
Yeah, I think so. Who'd they play? They played the Ravens. I think the Ravens are a much better team than everyone's given them credit for to this point.
England? The defense.
Um, yeah, I mean, it's the Chargers are looking real weird these days, but I think it's a bounce back game for everybody in this one. Hard to trust Eckler right now, but it's one of those spots where it's New England, and it feels weird to say the New England Patriots suck, but they're the worst team in the NFL. They're pretty bad. They're going back and forth between Mac Jones and Bailey Zippy himself in quarterback form, and and it's just I think it's a good bounce back spot. Quentin Johnston, I think he's done.
Oh,
I think he got benched, and
yeah.
he's been a real bust. I feel bad for anyone who took him in a rookie draft as their first rounder. He was going like fifth, sixth, seventh, somewhere in there. and,
I mean, he wasn't
and
a first rounder or anything, but I did take him in a draft.
yeah, I remember I kind of wanted him a little bit,
Yeah.
but I wasn't going to expose myself to him. It just wasn't there. So he's no Pat Fryermuth.
He had the best physical gifts, I think, of all the
He
receivers
did.
coming out, as far as just his size and speed and stuff. But I think just like between the ears, he just doesn't have it yet. Not to say
Yeah.
he won't get it, but I think he's just coming on slower than the other guys. So, um,
So you're saying he's stupid?
well, in case he ever wants to sponsor something on the show, I don't want to call him stupid, but he might be an idiot. Detroit at New Orleans. So this is indoor Jared Goff, and the majority of Jared Goff's games leading up all to the fantasy playoffs are going to be indoors. But Jared Goff has kind of looked shitty the past couple weeks. He's like redeemed himself by the end of the game, but he freaks you out mid game. New Orleans has a all right pass defense. They've been pretty good against the pass. So how do you feel about playing Goff, playing your Detroit passing situation this week against New Orleans?
I think I'm still going to do it. I don't think New Orleans is that scary. They got a good defense, but Jared Goff and all of his sorrow is going to be out there, and and I think he'll do fine. He'll probably look like shit half the game, but he does that. He's Goth. He he'll get it done. He's scary, but at the end of the day, he's a good guy. So I think we can roll with Jared Goff another week.
Rock on. Arizona at Pittsburgh, which like on paper, might not be like that exciting. Oh yes, I agree. I agree.
Praise Peapod and Amon-Ra St. Brown.
And Peepaw praises Amon-Ra St. Brown because Peepaw, huge Detroit Lions fan. So, yeah. So, as he's getting praised, he then sends that praise right over to Amon-Ra. So,
Prayers going up.
Hey, prayers for Jonathan Taylor's thumb. So,
I mean,
Arizona at Pittsburgh, not exciting on paper. I have a feeling this could be like a really nice fantasy matchup. Pittsburgh has their new and improved offense. Arizona likes to throw it around. Kyler Murray could be running for his life a little bit against the Steelers D line, but like I like Kyler Murray running from his life and just throwing the ball like outside of the pocket and stuff.
he puts up points.
Yeah, so like I see this fantasy matchup as actually some points right here. Do you see a situation where this could be a points situation? Arizona at Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I think. I mean, Kyler Murray, he's good for fantasy. Like, I mean, he's not going to win you the game. He's not a great franchise quarterback, not a great leader. He'll score you fantasy points though. So I love Kyler Murray, and he did get Marquise Brown involved a little bit here. I think he had like 14 points or something. So that was really good to see. Otherwise, Marquise Brown probably would have been on my borderline Hillshire shit the bed award. So, which is a bad combo. So, I mean, it's, I mean, it could be like I know Najee's got it together. I'd kind of written him off. I don't know. I think getting rid of Matt Canada is huge. Sometimes the best addition is subtraction. Get rid of the Canadian in the room and move on. And I could see it being a surprise shootout situation.
Yeah. And Superfan Matt just never wants you to forget that.
Let's never forget. So, for the backstory, for all the strangers in here, I traded with Matt. It was a big trade that went down in Dynasty this year. And I had St. Brown, Jahmyr Gibbs, and then I got mad at Jahmyr Gibbs one night whenever, I think it was that Thursday night game where
Montgomery.
Where they just weren't using him. I was like mad at Dan Campbell because I was like, he's the best player on your team. And I think it was like David Montgomery was coming back from injury or something, and they give him a career high in carries, and I was like, you idiots, like, what are you doing? Yeah. And anyway, we think that should be a shared backfield. That's how they work best. That's how no one's going to break. Both players being good for fantasy is good for fantasy. So anyway, I still believe in Gibbs. I love Gibbs. I still have him in my other Dynasty League. Got him everywhere I could. But I did trade him over to Matt with St. Brown and 2 firsts for 2 seconds and Jamar Chase. So the reason, and that has not worked out this year at all, but it's okay. I can make magic in the second round. I've done it before. I'll do it again. I research deeper than a lot of people. I'll find another person. But yeah, it's looking very much like I lost the trade pretty badly right now. But I've seen it work out before where I overpay for a guy in Dynasty and it works out. Chase is just having a tough time right now. He doesn't have his quarterback. If he had his quarterback, he'd be just fine. But whatever. But it was a great trade for Matt, and I think it'll pay off for me later. But I did give up a lot. So basically, what happened there was I just gave up too much. I got mad at Jahmyr Gibbs, sold him low, used him as a throw-in. He's not a throw-in. I forgot how much of a dynasty asset he was. And I'm someone who was so high on Gibbs too, but I was like, they're not going to use him. And then Dan Campbell got smart and decided to start using him. And that's what happened there. But yeah, I mean, here's an example of where it did work out. I traded 3 firsts, DK Metcalf, Isaiah Pacheco for Tyreek Hill this year in Dynasty. Tell me that's not working out. So and those first rounders in those rookie drafts, you're not going to find a Tyreek Hill. So anyway, and I had the draft capital to do it. So I mean, that's an example of I just had to go get my guy. And sometimes you do that, sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. But Jamar Chase isn't terrible. He will rebound, and that's what happened there.
Never forget. So Denver at Houston. Houston obviously in the playoff hunt, coming off the narrow L to Jacksonville, but now Denver's in the playoff hunt. So we got two teams who are fighting for playoffs. I see this being a pretty good matchup here. I think. Do you think we got points here? We know Houston can score a lot of points. That Denver defense is better, but still vulnerable. And so I see these folks going back and forth up and down the field. Russell Wilson, if you're someone who is out your Josh Allen or you're out your Lamar Jackson, would you play Russell Wilson this week in a pretty good matchup?
It probably doesn't matter, but is it in Denver?
It's in Houston.
Oh, it depends on what kind of shit is out there on the waiver wire. I don't know. It truly depends. I think it becomes, do I start Russell Wilson or this guy? But he's definitely in that conversation, I think. I think it should be a points thing, but I'm not rushing out to go start Russell Wilson. I'm not sure what he's looked like all year, but I think he's put together some decent stats. I just, I don't expose myself to Russell Wilson. I don't want him to see.
Joe Bennett says, "Are you using the Candyman magic?" I don't know what that means.
Oh, that's a Skittles thing.
Yes, Candyman magic.
Oh yeah, I mean God's involved too. So like, basically what happens is Sunday morning he goes to church and he prays at the altar for an injury. And he does this every week. And it happened for, like, God answered his prayers how he wanted the first few weeks of the year, usually on, like, a Monday night where, like, Skits is up by 5 or something.
Yeah.
And then the other person gets injured in the first quarter or something. I think it was, he had a situation where he pulled off a 1-point victory, and it was week 1, and he was against Aaron Rodgers. So he benefited off of the Aaron Rodgers injury. But yeah, he literally goes to the altar, prays for injuries, and sometimes God answers his prayers. And then it gets worse in the playoffs, like if he makes playoffs. But Joe has the ultimate revenge. So in our other dynasty, Joe had a pretty good team last year. I think he was like a 2 or 3 seed. And Skittles weaseled his way into the playoffs. And anyway, he was the first round matchup. And, Skittles goes, playoff Skittles. And then he, does this thing. And I don't know, I'm pretty sure someone got hurt on Joe's team or something. And he ended up pulling off the upset that nobody saw coming. We were expecting Joe to win by 50. And so anyway, so Joe has had to live with that for the last year, and now he's in a prime opportunity to end Skittles season, where Skittles is fighting and clawing in like 9th place, trying to get to a 8-team playoff, and with this loss, Joe can basically take him out of it. So he can end his season and get the ultimate payback. And Skittles won that matchup, and then he lost to me by 50 the next week. So it was, all that for nothing. Like, what was the point? That wasn't, you created a not good matchup in the semis. So anyway, I know Joe wants to get that revenge. It's the ultimate revenge game. And so that's what Candyman Magic is. It's basically you pray for injury at the altar, God answers your prayer, and you win the game off of injury. But I don't do that.
I could just see like the pastor coming up and like putting his hand on Skittles' shoulder, and he's like, son, what can I pray with you for? Skills is just like,
Please hurt him on Raw St. Brown.
because you can't lie. You can't lie to the guy. You got to tell him.
Yeah, you don't want to lie at the altar. Then your guy's going to get hurt.
He's like, son, have you had a death in the family recently? And he's just like, no, I just need Matt Stafford to throw 2 interceptions.
And hurt his fibula.
So San Francisco at Philly. Hurts has had some slow starts. He still comes out with like 4 or 5 touchdowns per game, but he'll
Touchdown.
like scare the shit out of you for the first half of the game. You know, if you have him on your team, or he'll give you Skittles hope for the first half of the game, and then he like ruins your night. But so everything says points, points, points. I feel like this could be a defensive battle with those 2 defenses. I don't know. I'm just trying to think outside the box here.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I'm starting everyone in that matchup.
You start your guys, but I think it
start
might
your guys, but don't start Olamide Zacchaeus. Like he's not gonna win you any money. Yeah. He's not gonna get you to the playoffs. This is the game where you don't get cute in this game. I think you just start your studs, and that's it. And hope for points. But I think the Stars will show up bright in this one. I do think San Fran has the better defense, but after this game, by the way, DeAndre Swift, beautiful playoff schedule. Yeah. He plays some dog shit defenses. So if you have DeAndre Swift, like congratulations on your championship because he's about to go off. Unless they get down to the 1, then congratulations to the Jalen Hurts owners and the butt push. So
what?
Yeah, I mean that's what I think. Superfan Matt, Jerry Judy's still not getting involved. He needs to be. Jerry Judy's ass. Yeah. He like as soon as what's his name? Steve Smith talked shit about him on Thursday night. He just believed it and was a shell of himself. And like I will never draft Jerry Judy. Like I just. He just doesn't have that dog in him, like, and that kind of shows it. Matt with the ha ha ha, and then Joe with a little clarification there.
Last one, Kansas City at Green Bay. Jordan Love has had 2 straight relevant fantasy games. Do you think keeps that up against Green Bay? I'm just trying to talk to people who are like struggling right now because they're missing some quarterbacks this week. Maybe a Fields owner, maybe a Lamar Jackson owner who's just like, shit, there's nothing out here. Well, there you go. How about we do that? How about Jordan Love or Russell Wilson if you had to?
Jordan Love.
So you like the matchup with Kansas City?
I like Jordan Love better than Russell Wilson. He's the quarterback 9, I think.
Yeah.
So, I mean, even though Jordan Love has been very frustrated, he's extremely inconsistent. But like he has those good games. So, I don't know. I've rolled Jordan Love out a couple times. He was my quarterback whenever Burrow was down, and then I had recently got fed up with him, and then I made a trade for Tua. I ended up trading Joe Burrow and a pick for Tua. Because I have Tyreek Hill wanted that connection. That didn't work out this week, but it will. And anyway, yeah, I mean, I think I'm rolling with Jordan Love. That offense is so young. Like, I think they could be so good here in the next couple years. They just need to find it. I think if they piece it together and they're consistent, like they have more games like they had on Thursday, then I think they'll do just fine.
Nice. Okay, so that's your Week 13 preview. Your bye week teams: Buffalo, Chicago, Las Vegas, Minnesota, New York Giants, and Baltimore. Good luck with your matchups. Fantasy playoff implications are happening. Dr. Dry and I are going to be going at it, fighting over some playoff seeding. Who knows? We might end our friendship before the next podcast because I take my fantasy football seriously. So
Yeah, you're a man of pride from Leanna, and you.
I'll
I might go to the altar for that
Ooh.
matchup.
We'll play with Skittles together for I don't know I don't even know who's on that team in my league. So just pray for anyone. Maybe
Yeah.
maybe a plane crash or something. Maybe.
Bijan.
Okay, so week 13 is coming. Enjoy. Don't forget that if you commented in our live, to comment on the recorded video afterward, because that helps us get more YouTube love. So do that. But what should the people be doing? What are the 5 things they should be doing, Dr. John?
Well, let me tell you. Hang on, we have a prayer request.
Oh, we have prayer request.
Yeah. Yeah. So if everyone could take a moment of silence before we go, Brother Joe would like us to keep his team in our fantasy prayers this week. He's against a very dangerous man. Some call him the Candyman, some call him Skittles. He does have God on his side, but there's power in counter prayer. So we're gonna be going to the altar. Make sure you don't do anything bad between now and Sunday, and ask for forgiveness. But in the middle of it, make sure you pray for Joe's team, because we don't want to see anything bad happen. We don't want to see any accidents. So say a little prayer for Joe's team.
Wow. I felt that.
But there are 5 things that you also need to do.
What are those?
So make sure. Let's close the show up with. You definitely need to live, laugh, love, like, subscribe. 5th Quarter Fantasy Cast. We don't do food.
Wanna be in this space.